Hear me out. If you're aiming to thrive in this world, to rise above, to command attention and admiration the moment you enter a room without even opening your mouth, then there's a truth you need to grasp right now. Your mindset is either your most powerful ally or your worst liability. It can launch you toward greatness at full throttle, or it can chain you to a life of mediocrity and wasted time. Let's not sugarcoat it. If your circumstances are disappointing, if you're financially struggling, if you feel powerless or directionless, that's on you. Not your upbringing, not your environment, not even your so-called bad luck. People love to blame the system, their childhood, their lack of support, but the raw reality is that your current situation is a mirror of your thoughts and your daily choices. The moment you accept that your destiny is in your own hands is the moment everything changes. Weak minds point fingers, strong minds own their outcomes. The instant you stop playing the victim is the exact moment you start taking the first step toward winning. Each tick of the clock gives you a decision. Either strengthen your thinking or sink deeper into the pit of excuse-making and stagnation. And unfortunately, most individuals choose the path of least resistance. Why? Because it's more comfortable to whine, to avoid, to scroll endlessly, to stay under the covers and hope tomorrow fixes what you refuse to face today. But victory isn't comfortable. That's exactly why most people will never taste it. Want to dominate your mental state? Then understand this. Discipline outweighs motivation every single time. Motivation is like a spark. It flares up and fizzles out. It's unreliable. But discipline? That's the bedrock of the unstoppable. When you've trained yourself in discipline, your actions don't depend on your emotions. You act because it's required, not because you feel late. Key it. Rain or shine, you rise, you work, you grind, you advance. That's the behavior of champions. Understand this. Life is a daily battle. You are constantly at war, and the enemy isn't your boss, your parents, your critics, or the government. The opponent you must defeat is the version of yourself that wants comfort over challenge, ease over effort, that lazy, soft side of you, the one that convinces you to delay, to escape, to fold. That is who you must conquer. Because if that side wins, you lose. Period. Greatness belongs to the hardened, to the self-forged. Look at the titans of history, the emperors, the soldiers, the trailblazers. They weren't sitting around waiting for permission or scrolling through distractions. They carved themselves into warriors, mind and body. And that's exactly what you must do. Shape your mindset like steel, strip away your vulnerabilities, block out nonsense, stop consuming garbage content, distance yourself from people who drain you, guard your mental space as if your life depends on it, because it does. Spare me the justifications. Tired? So what? Sad? Work through it. Doubting yourself? Keep moving anyway. When I feel exhausted, I execute. When life smacks me down, I don't whine. I retaliate harder. I refuse to submit. I won't give up my power to weakness, and neither should you. Many of you live like time is unlimited. Let me crush that illusion. It isn't. Every hour spent procrastinating, every moment of self-pity is a minute you'll never reclaim. One day you'll wake up older, worn, filled with remorse, recognizing that you spent your life waiting for the right time. The truth? That time is now. Your mind will whisper lies. It will tempt you with rest, distraction, and the false comfort of tomorrow. But tomorrow is a myth. You either take charge right now or remain trapped where you are, unchanged, unimproved, unseen. You want to lead? Start thinking like a leader. You want to thrive? Live like someone who deserves to thrive. Be the man who earns victory before it even arrives. There is no shortcut. There is no cheat code. There is no miracle. There is only effort, sacrifice, and relentless mental toughness. Let me ask you, how many more weeks, months, years will you waste before you realize that no savior is coming? There is no cavalry, no fairy tale ending. The only way out is to push your way forward. This has nothing to do with chance. This is about resolve. You can hand every resource to a weak-minded man, and he will still squander it because he lacks the internal strength to act. Meanwhile, a man forged in mental resilience, dropped into the harshest conditions with nothing, will find a way to rise because he refuses to be defeated. His surroundings don't define him. His mindset does. You say life is tough? Good. It's meant to be. The struggle is part of the refining process. And yet so many of you are failing because you keep searching for ease. There is no comfortable path to greatness. Every reward, respect, wealth, recognition must be earned through difficulty. That grind, that discomfort, that's the price. And most aren't willing to pay it. People constantly ask me how to change their lives. What do I do if I'm struggling, if I feel lost? My response never changes. Outwork it, period. Stop complicating things. If you don't have money, hustle harder. If you feel weak, train more. If your vision is blurry, sharpen your focus. Every single obstacle has a universal solution. Discipline. Here's what you must internalize. No one owes you sympathy. No one cares how difficult your story is. The world respects results. If you aren't delivering, you're invisible. It doesn't matter how clever you are, how high your potential might be. If you aren't showing up and putting in the work, you're irrelevant. Too many of you are exactly where you were 5 years ago. Same job, same excuses, same stagnation. Why? because you never seize control. Make the decision now. Be relentless. Be unshakable. Be the force no one can ignore. Whenever pressure builds or challenges arise, you retreat, you delay, you rationalize inaction, and then you sit there wondering why progress never finds you. Let's get something straight. Achievement doesn't hinge on how you feel. It's driven by what you do. Champions move regardless of mood. They perform whether they're fatigued, overwhelmed, or blindsided by life's storms. They persist, execute, and deliver. That's the truth. You haven't even begun to tap into the depths of your potential. You don't know what you're capable of because you've never forced yourself beyond comfort. You've never made success the only path available. That's why you're plateaued, stuck in mediocrity, recycling old habits that deliver the same underwhelming results. You've never demanded the extraordinary from yourself. And that stops today. No more someday. No more crossing your fingers or waiting for inspiration. You don't need another motivational video or another feel-good quote. What you need is resolve. You need to draw a line in the sand and say, enough. Enough weakness. Enough delay. Enough handing over control to feelings. This is about locking in and deciding, once and for all, that you are done being at the mercy of emotion and circumstance. Master your thoughts, and you master your direction. Once you silence hesitation, quiet insecurity, and crush internal resistance, you become a force no hardship can slow. When your inner world is fortified with discipline and certainty, outside problems don't derail you. They just become stepping stones. Life doesn't cater to the unsure. It bows to those who stay grounded, focused, and driven through every storm. The question is, will you rise to be one of them? Or will you remain where you are, frozen in inaction, dulled by fear, haunted by regret? You'll either become someone who rewrites his story or someone who watches the pages pass, doing nothing. And one day, when the opportunity has long passed, you'll sit with the unbearable truth. You could have lived boldly. You could have achieved greatness, but you didn't. Not because you weren't capable, but because you didn't commit when it mattered. I refuse to live with that kind of regret. And if you carry even a sliver of self-worth, you should refuse it too. Still reading? Good. That means the truth is starting to sink in. Deep down, something in you knows the life you've been living isn't all there is. You recognize the patterns, the avoidance, the excuses, the waiting. You've been lying to yourself, hoping life will get better while you do nothing to create the change you crave. But let me tell you something brutal and honest. Most people will never escape that cycle. They'll wake up every day, go through the motions, shrink from discomfort, and die without ever realizing they had the keys to freedom all along. You know why? Because they're imprisoned, not by bars, but by their own minds. The average man is shackled by laziness, paralyzed by fear, addicted to excuses. He lets his emotions steer his actions. He lets trivial distractions hijack his attention. He blindly accepts the limits imposed by society and his environment. Then he wonders why his life is empty. So here's the real question. Is that you? Are you owned by weakness? Or are you the type of man who refuses to be defined by the herd? Because if you're not taking full command of your thoughts, someone else is. Look around. Men everywhere have been mentally subdued into accepting less. Softness is celebrated, settling is normalized, failure is justified. But failure is not destiny, it's a decision. Keep choosing comfort, and you will keep losing. Let me say it again. This isn't about emotions. It's about action. It's about consistency. Winners don't wait to feel good. They don't need ideal conditions. They don't need permission. They act. That's why they get results. Weak men, on the other hand, let feelings dictate everything. I'm tired. I'm not in the mood. It's too hard. And that's precisely why they remain behind, broke, broken, and bitter. They crave ease. They fear resistance. But life isn't supposed to be easy. Life is a battlefield. And if you don't learn how to fight, you will be defeated. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how smart you are. Without mental strength, you'll collapse under pressure. Think about the giants of history, the leaders, the pioneers, the builders of empires. Were they fragile, passive, waiting for motivation? No, they were relentless. They moved forward when it was painful. They worked when it was hard. They stayed disciplined when no one was watching. That's who you must become. A relentless machine, a storm of unshakable energy. A man so focused, so mentally indestructible that nothing can stop his advance. Not pain, not setbacks, not even failure. But to reach that level, you must start training your mind like a warrior sharpens his blade. That means no more idle distractions, no more nonsense, no more maybe tomorrow. You must purge weak influences, cut ties with energy-draining people, break your addiction to ease, wake up with intention. Every single day must be approached with drive and purpose. The world doesn't cater to the hesitant. It doesn't reward those who wait for perfect conditions. It recognizes and respects only the men who step forward, work with intensity, and stay the course. Understand this. Your mind is the ultimate battleground. Victory isn't determined in the office, in the gym, or on the street. It's decided in your thoughts before your first action, before your first decision. If you think like a loser, you will act like one. But if you think like a ruler, if your thoughts are rooted in strength, clarity, and determination, your behavior will follow. It's that simple. But most men sabotage themselves before they even begin. They wake up and immediately drown in noise, scrolling through social media, filling their minds with empty opinions, toxic content, and distractions from people who have never built anything of value. And then they wonder why they feel lost, unmotivated, disconnected. Here's the truth. Your mind isn't supposed to be soft. It's not meant to be a sponge for junk. It should be a fortress, strong, focused, impenetrable. And until you treat it like one, you'll never rise above the average. You've allowed your mind to become a breeding ground for comfort, laziness, and constant distraction. And unless you seize control, unless you harden your mentality and fortify your spirit, you will remain locked in the same mediocre existence that has held you back for so long. Let me tell you what I do as soon as my eyes open in the morning. I seize command of my inner world. I direct my attention before the chaos of the day has a chance to flood in. I prepare for war because that's exactly what life is. It's a continuous clash against weakness, a daily confrontation with distraction, and a relentless fight against the lower version of yourself that wants to give up. The truth is, most of you surrender to that weaker self every single day. You let your brain convince you to hit snooze, to skip the grind, to delay progress, and worse, you comply. You follow those instructions like a servant when you should be the one issuing the orders, and that's precisely why you're stuck. Your brain left unchecked is not your ally. It's simply a tool, neutral in nature, but if not directed with intention, it will drive you toward failure. That soft, comfort-obsessed part of you, if allowed to take the wheel, will wreck your future long before you ever get the chance to build something meaningful. Think about the strongest men in history. Do you think they waited to feel ready before making bold moves? Do you think they let trivial distractions interrupt their focus? Absolutely not. They sharpened their mindset to be impenetrable. They conditioned themselves to function under pressure, to act in spite of fear, and to resist every impulse pulling them away from their goals. That's how they won, and that's exactly what you need to emulate. Your mind needs to be forged in fire, like a soldier being prepared for combat. Every time you sense hesitation creeping in, you crush it. When fatigue tries to break your spirit, you go harder. When life throws its punches, you don't fold. You rise and you answer back. Because once you take full ownership of your mind, nothing can stand in your way. No pain, no doubt, no obstacle will have the power to derail you. You'll move like a machine, disciplined, driven, unrelenting. A man who doesn't flinch, doesn't whine, and doesn't stop until the mission is complete. That's what true mental mastery looks like. That's the line that separates high achievers from everyone else stuck spinning their wheels. So ask yourself, are you going to keep giving into weakness, or are you finally going to rise up and lead yourself with strength? Because if you don't claim control, the world will do it for you. And trust me, the world doesn't care about your comfort. Your brain is your most powerful asset. It can be your greatest ally or your ultimate enemy. Yet most men treat their minds like dumpsters. You absorb negativity, you entertain worthless thoughts, you chase pointless distractions, and then you wonder why your life is in chaos. Let me give it to you straight. Your current reality is nothing more than the product of your thought patterns. A scattered mind creates a scattered life. A disciplined mind builds an unstoppable life. Victory begins between your ears. So does failure. Every triumph, every downfall, every breakthrough or breakdown, it all starts in the mind. And the hard truth is, most of you have absolutely zero discipline over your thinking. You wake up and immediately fall into autopilot, mindlessly reaching for your phone, getting buried in meaningless content, absorbing negativity before you've even gotten out of bed. And this happens every single day. You're not setting the tone. You're letting the noise of the world set it for you. That's why you feel aimless. That's why nothing changes. You've handed over the reins of your own mind. But winners, real winners, don't allow that. They own their mental space. From the second they wake up, they are locked in. There's no room for mental junk, no tolerance for distractions, no place for self-doubt. Their vision is crystal clear. They know what they want, and they have the self-discipline to pursue it, regardless of how they feel. People ask me all the time, how do I build discipline? How do I shift my mindset? How do I stop being weak? The answer never changes. Stop inviting weakness into your life. Stop consuming garbage. Stop giving airtime to limiting thoughts. Stop hanging around people who drain your energy. Stop wasting mental effort on anything that doesn't push you forward. Your mind must be molded. Every time a useless thought pops up, crush it. Every time you begin to doubt yourself, shut it down. Every time an excuse starts to form, eliminate it immediately. Your mind is like a muscle. Ignore it and it withers. But train it, challenge it, sharpen it, and it becomes unbreakable. Let's be clear. This isn't a one-time fix. It's a lifelong battle. Your mind will constantly try to pull you back into old patterns, old fears, and old comforts. You have to be on guard every single moment. Every second is a fight until strength becomes default, until focus becomes instinct, until you become the kind of man who doesn't wait, doesn't hope, doesn't hesitate. He executes. The difference between the few who win and the masses who lose is brutally simple. Winners do not allow emotion to dictate behavior. Losers do. Winners aren't pulled away from their path by distractions. Losers are. Winners don't wait for permission or motivation. They take action. Losers sit in circles of wishful thinking, convincing themselves that someday things will magically improve. So what about you? Will you keep living as a captive to your own mind, controlled by hesitation, fear, and weakness? Or will you finally step into the role of commander? Because the moment you stop surrendering, stop blaming, stop allowing outside noise to influence your mission, that's the moment everything shifts. Your mind is the gatekeeper to every outcome you seek. Either you master it, or it masters you. Choose wisely,